Multi-level marketing is a metric system, mostly a metric system developed as a pyramid scheme that most times seeks to drive the sale of an underlying product or service. So, it's interesting. You have genius, I wouldn't call them entrepreneurs, genius business people who develop products or services. And they come to think about it, they say instead of use a traditional model of advertising and public relations to push, to drive sales and maintain the brand of the product, it's better to enlist the help of salespeople who are like partners in the organization of your product. So say for example, you have biscuits and you tell the public that the biscuit has the potential to make you healthier. And instead of doing the normal marketing campaign to drive the sales and employing salespeople on the ground and having a distribution network, you set up a multi-level marketing scheme to employ people to come into the system to drive the sale of your product without necessarily paying them salaries or maintaining huge overheads every month. So it's a cheap and effective way of driving the sale of a product or service as against the traditional model. The problem with multi-level marketing is that most times the structure of managing the scheme after the first 6 to 8 levels are already in it is very difficult, because as time goes on and you have more and more people join it, it's not very easy to manage the flow of rewards for people who come after the 6th or 8th level of the chain. A Ponzi scheme is basically a structure that is not self-sustainable. In developing any investment structure or any reward scheme, you have to work it out through and make sure it's workable and make sure there are no sacrificial dogs, sacrificial lambs, let me use that for a lack of a more appropriate term, or collateral damage in the process. So what you have is you have people who have not worked out a full solution to the scheme futuristically, who starts the scheme and then hope that along the way it will work itself out. So I'll give you an example. Someone starts an investment firm and he says he's going to invest in, he's going to mix the fund that his investment firm runs between the property market, the stock market, and the forex market. For example, he's going to diversify his portfolio. And he doesn't have any proven algorithm model or any proven mathematical model or any proven investment formula on how he wants to generate 80% return on equity year on year. But he promises his investors 80% returns on the equity of the firm. At the end of the day, he is unable to meet up with 80% returns on equity of the firm. Yes? He collects more money from unsuspecting people because from outside things look very good. But guess what? He's robbing Peter to pay Paul. Because at the end of the day, you come to the point where, let's say you're making 30% or you're making 25%, and you have to cover for the difference of somewhere around 45 to 50% from the capital of other investors. That becomes a Ponzi scheme. From my basic understanding of how the MLM works, it's like a table where you have the top of the board, the leaderboard. You have the founders, yes, at the height of it. Then you have substructure. It's like an organogram of any organization. You have substructures. You can have admin, you can have finance, you can have HR, And under those subheads, you have more people. And it just keeps replicating itself like that. It's like the DNA in the human system that keeps replicating itself like that. But the problem is that as the structure grows, yes, if the founders and the management of the MLM structure has not fully figured out how to manage the structure when it gets to 100,000 people from when it is 500 people, is not sustainable. That's the problem with multi-level marketing. Because you have a lot of companies who are able to manage 500 people, but are unable to manage 100,000 people. So you discover that when they get to 100,000 people, they're not able to maintain the rewards or promises they've been maintaining when they were 500. This is very, very common sense. You have an economy that has lost 4.5 million private jobs in less than 18 months. You have an economy that has doubled inflation in less than 18 months. Inflation has gone from somewhere around 8.7% to where we have it at 18.3%, and I expect it to get to 22% within the next 6 to 8 months. Yes. And then you have an economy where sardine that usually goes for 130 naira, 150 naira now sells for 250 naira, 280 naira, depending on where exactly you are in Nigeria. I know several people who work with oil companies that have either had to lose their job or have their salaries cut by 50%. A couple that works with a very big oil company in Lagos, I won't mention their name, lost their job on the same day. The same company, they work in the same company, they lost their job in the same day. Let me bring it home. People that never asked me for money for a long time are now saying, oh, I need to pay the children's school fees. Can you help out with something? What do you think will happen? Desperation. So you have a system where all kinds of religion thrives. Yes? Because people are looking for solutions to their real life problems. There are real life problems in Nigeria. They can't pay school fees, they can't buy food to eat, they can't travel anywhere, they can't pay house rent. They're looking for real solutions. They are desperate. Yes? The price of food and commodities has doubled. In some cases, they've tripled. The price of bus fares, bus tickets has increased. The price of fuel has increased. And you don't have an increase in minimum wage. Instead, you have a loss of private sector jobs. So it's no surprise, it shouldn't be any surprise to the government of the day or anyone who cares to watch and listen that we have the situation we have today. It shouldn't be surprising at all. And then you ask yourself, what's the number one priority of every government? Manage inflation. Ensure security of lives and properties. Create jobs. And that's it. Those are the most important priorities of any sitting government globally. Those are the most existential threats to the stability of any government globally. In Nigeria, the current government is failing in all of these three areas. Inflation is through the roof. And you know, the interesting thing is that even the minimum wage right now is lower than the price of a bag of rice. Think about it. What is more deadly than an hungry man? What happened? Why did a young man in Tunisia decide to set himself ablaze? Even if I can tell you categorically that right now, the standard of living in North Africa is way better than the standard of living in Nigeria. So, if you have a situation where there are no jobs, private sector is losing jobs, there are no public sector jobs either, except you know somebody who knows somebody in Abuja, and then inflation is through the roof, people can't pay rent, can't pay school fees, can't buy clothes, can't go anywhere, they can't pay their utility bills, what do you expect? A knight in shining armor comes in front, in the sense of what we have, the wave of Ponzi we have right now in Nigeria. In my opinion, the MLM program is a Ponzi scheme, period. What do you expect? They go for it. And then one person enters, he drops 1 million naira and he gets 30% at the end of the month, even if he doesn't know what the company does. Yes? Or what structure they have, or what investment model they have to be able to pay or earn more than 30% per month in a recessionary economy like we have. Not saying that it's impossible to create returns on investment in the situation we have, but saying that you don't understand what products or services the company that is paying you 30% on your money does, they'll go for it. So people put in all their savings, all their children's savings, put in all their savings for a rainy day into it, in the hopes that by miracle, and you know we like miracles in Nigeria, I'll get my return back. But guess what? It's a situation of I rob Peter to pay Paul. So you have a lot of new investors who are coming in with a float of cash and are busy, unknowing to the existing investors, paying the expectation of the existing investors of 30%. It's a classic situation of the person who is in, who doesn't know, who is expecting, gets paid by the person who is coming in. The bubble will burst the day either of two things happen. Either the management of the scheme gets greedy, or the number of people pulling out their money at the same time becomes higher than the number of people putting in their money. But we can clearly trace the foundation of the Ponzi scheme we have going on in Nigeria right now to the economic situation in the country. So if the regulators are unable to shut down the scheme, they should blame the economic situation in Nigeria for what we have today. Because there is nowhere in the developed world, in Western Europe or in America, where you will hear about this Ponzi scheme we have going on right now. There is nowhere. Living conditions are indirectly proportional to Ponzi schemes, plain and simple.